You know what? I need another browser for the Threadcast. That's going to drive me nuts. Close all this. All right. Listen live. Connecting. Start listening. Requesting. And then, yeah, I guess I know I got to switch my mic once you let me in.
Added. And we're live everywhere else.
All right. Separate window. Threadcast. I was barely on my machine while I was away, but the few times I was on, well, one, I was trying to buy Bitcoin when like 12 was my target, and since
We're
I was
live,
doing
by the way.
that's all good. Since I was Pancake, since I was doing on Pancake Swap, and they have limit orders, but they're not reliable or useful. So I was like always away from my machine when it was getting, so like I missed it when I called it and I missed it, but it looks like we're selling off again anyway. So I might get another opportunity, but yeah, I was trying to, so I ended up buying at like 13 and change and 14 and change. I was pissed because I was like, I wanted it at 12 and it got there.
Yeah. I feel like that always happens when you go out of town too.
Oh yeah, I am like automatic volatility. You guys want the crypto market to give you some volatility? Just send the cat out of town. Which fun we can get into. We'll do that fun story. The adventures and travels of the cat. I got attacked by a cat while I was out of town.
Oh, I saw your thread about that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I threaded. Talk about irony, dude. This story is comical.
All right, go for it.
Oh my god, and I'm not. This is how we're gonna start it off. No,
this is how we kick it off.
The short version is, I'm not even going to do the whole story, even though it's hilarious. The short version is I got attacked by a cat, and I found out after the fact that the cat is on Prozac because it had attacked someone else like 3 years prior. And I was just
you could make a great rhyme out of that.
I could actually.
Attacked by a cat on Prozac. I feel like there's something there.
That's that shit was whack. But yeah, it was. I gotta actually. I'm not even live on. I gotta switch my mic. I'm not even. They can't even hear me on the Spaces.
That was a YouTube only. If you want the alpha, you gotta go to YouTube.
Alpha YouTube.
The alpha cat.
All right, what do we got? I gotta switch to this one, and then I should be good now on. Oh no, or maybe I'm not.
All right, unmute on Space, and then give me a mic check.
Check.
You're still muted on Spaces.
I'm not, but it's just not working. Why is this not working? That's the mic. Hold on, let me try this. Check.
Let me try.
No, it's because I'm not getting the little squiggly lines when I'm talking.
I'm gonna remove you and then add you back.
All right. Let me try this also.
See if that works. See if that works. Did you get the new invite to speak?
No, I sent. I hit the check mark I requested. Hold on, join speaker. I don't know. Did you get my request?
Try requesting again, or look for invite to speak. You may need to just leave and come back.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
That fixes it.
Let's try it now.
All
right.
Yeah, we were out last week, so
on
gotta get everything back. Now it says you're a speaker.
Yeah, and I don't think it's work. My mic is. Why is my mic not working?
It must not recognize your mic is connected. Are you able to?
It shows it. I'm checking on. So annoying. How about now?
Nope. No, it just shows you're muted.
Hold on. Unplug it, plug it back in. There's no reason it shouldn't be working though. Check.
No, you're still muted.
Come on. It's not showing as muted though. This is super annoying. There's no reason it should be doing this.
What are you on for the space?
What do you mean?
Like what device are you on?
Well, I have the space opened in Chrome, like a web browser.
Do you usually do that?
I'm doing exactly what I normally do. It's just being stupid. Let me just
click the like little settings icon on Chrome where
hold
it's
on.
like to the left of the URL.
Oh, hold on. What is this? Oh no, that's. Hold on. If I do this, I'm going to get an echo.
All right. While you figure that out, I'll go through a few questions.
Yeah, get it started.
Now it shows you as a listener.
Yeah, I exited out. I'm going to just totally open a new browser and.
So let me just go through a few questions while we get the cat back. Ooh, I should probably record the threadcast. All right, I'm recording the threadcast now. Let's see what we got here. Leo Strategy posted the LeoDex volume on the last 30 days. We did 7.5 million. It's very good. We need to grow that. Need to keep growing that. Yeah, LeoDex volume is the kind of lead domino of everything, in my opinion. We need to grow the volume, and it kind of feeds the whole flywheel of really everything, including Leo Strategy, which I'm sure we will get into at some point as well. Mcoin said, did I hear something about personal AI assistants? Yeah. A new feature for premium users. Well, the kind of the first phase of that is going to be the Rafiki 2.0 launch. So the new version of Rafiki will actually be, like a real LLM trained on all, basically all Hive data.
Rafiki.
I'm hearing Mitch now.
I think I'm good now.
Yep, I hear you in all
Yeah, I
places.
just had to open a new browser. I don't know why.
Oh. If you guys have any audio troubles, just let us know in the threadcast and we'll fix it. But I hear you loud and clear.
Take 1 week off and the wheels fall off.
Right.
All right.
So Rafiki will be the first iteration, Rafiki 2.0, where if you're premium, you'll actually get like kind of personalized chatbot features with Rafiki. So you'll be able to ask, specific questions. And it'll be trained on your, blog posts, etc. And then the second iteration of AI assistants is where you'll actually be able to deploy your own assistant. So you'll be able to use the InLeo UI. You'll deploy your own assistant, and that assistant can help you do a lot of things like refine your content, give you ideas for blog posts, things like that. Like I think kind of one of the coolest features is that it will read like your replies and interactions, like all of your on-chain engagement. And then it'll say, hey, like lately you've been talking about, Leo strategy and LSTR and what you think about it. Here's a few blog post ideas based on some recent conversations you've had. And it'll just do that automatically. It'll just like, you'll basically see a thread go out. It'll tag you. It'll say, hey, have you considered writing a blog post on, XYZ topics based on things that you've been talking about. So these features are going to be only for InLeo premium users. So if you're not premium, you won't get access to those. A lot of reasons for that. I mean, obviously it's utility for premium and incentive to go premium. It's also really expensive to run these types of models. So, that's kind of how X AI has made their business model work. I mean, ChatGPT, really every AI company has some sort of premium model. And the reason why is because it's really expensive to run these things. So we have the same thing, and it just runs through InLeo Premium. So it adds a whole other layer and a whole other reason to be premium. So I'm excited about it. I think it'll have a really positive impact on the ecosystem. It's going to like pretty radically change the way you use InLeo, in my opinion, and just kind of supercharge the regular things that you do. Like it can suggest thread ideas. It can suggest blog ideas. And like I said, Rafiki will get a lot smarter in terms of being able to answer questions. I spend a lot of time answering the same questions over and over. And I think Rafiki will solve that. We're also going to be extending Rafiki to a Discord bot as well. So Rafiki will be on the in Leo Discord, or sorry, now it's called the Leo Discord server. So Rafiki will be in the Leo Discord and in tech support and be able to actually answer most questions. Like unless you actually need specific, like you like literally need something very specific from the team, Rafiki will be able to give you information and point you to all the right places to do everything. And then, the way I want it to work in Discord is basically Rafiki will be the automated support agent. And then if Rafiki can't solve your problem, then a team member comes into the ticket, for example, or general chat and is able to help you. And I think this is the future. Like every, support staff is going to kind of get replaced by AI. So, I'd say Rafiki is getting pretty close to where we're going to be ready to launch the Discord bot. So hopefully in the next kind of week-ish, we'll have Rafiki 2.0 live on Threads. And then from there, we'll look to expand to Discord and even possibly on X. I've been kind of investigating what that might look like. X is kind of weird about AI and bots, but I have been seeing, some people launching stuff. So I think they've started opening up the APIs a little bit. So possibly on X as well, because I obviously respond to a lot of people that are asking questions about Leo and don't understand it from the world of cross-chain. So it'd be nice to have a very intelligent AI agent that could respond to all those inquiries. Outside of that, I mean, obviously AI stuff is really heating up. I mean, we're taking AI to the next level in terms of what we've been building, both in terms of the LLM and then also in terms of the agents. So you guys have seen a lot of agentic growth on Inleo. These agents feed the SERP. They also report on key data. For example, LeoDex's is posting a lot of threads now. It's tracking, actually, since we missed last week, there's been a lot of updates since 2 weeks ago. But LeoDex's is also tracking protocol-owned Leo buybacks now too. So it's actually LeoDex's is actually cross-chain now. So if something happens on BSC, Polygon, or Arbitrum, LeoDex's actually knows that. So you'll notice when a buy happens by the POL on, say, for example, on the B Leo pair on BSC, LeoDex's actually reports on that right away to the to Inleo threads. So this is actually a kind of nice precursor to say that we're building more and more agents that are gathering data from vast parts of blockchain and internet in general and bringing that data onto the Hive blockchain, where then Leo AI's LLM can be trained on all that data in real time. So what I think is getting really interesting here is kind of this explosion of AI agents where we're just grabbing data from everywhere we can, bringing that data onto Hive, and then training the Leo AI LLM on all of that data in real time, where then we can build all these other use cases from all that data, for example, like Rafiki and other things. We're really at the cusp of this explosion in terms of Leo AI, and Leo AI has changed a lot in terms of like the vision of what it is. At first it was just going to be this LLM, and then I think the whole AI industry that's kind of emerging right now has very much shifted towards agents, because I think people have realized, well, chatbots are really cool, but what about things that just run without you doing anything? They just run autonomously and they do specific tasks, and you can build all these agents, and then you have agents that build more agents. So then you get like this AI agent explosion. So we are getting that really the ball is rolling on that. I think we've got well over 140 agents now, running background, running on the back end and front end. So in the long run, I see Leo having tens of thousands of agents, and each agent will have very different tasks assigned to it. So Rafiki's an agent, LeoDex's is an agent. There's many other ones that are coming online, and they're all designed to do different things, like I said. And at the end of the day, every agent and also the protocol we're making that actually builds more agents on its own is designed with one very specific mission, and that is to accrue value to the Leo token by any means necessary. So it's like, literally every agent just has this kind of core. If you think about like a core function, every agent is just designed to absorb value to Leo. So whether it means absorbing one Leo and never, taking it off the market essentially so that it can never be sold in the future, or that means, going on a DEX, trading a token, arbitraging a token, making $10, bridging that $10 over, buying Leo with it, and then perma staking it so that $10, now you've created $10 in buy pressure or revenue for Leo, and then you've pulled that Leo off the market. It's all these little things that kind of add up, and these agents are building on themselves. So I actually think it's pretty insane to think about what could happen when you've got tens of thousands of agents that all have this base function of how do we add value to the Leo token economy. And now you basically built this, economic workforce that's out there just driving value in permanently. And it's imagine like you just suddenly hired 10,000 employees for the business, and those 10,000 employees just go out on the internet every day. And by the way, they work 24/7, 365, no breaks. And they just go out and they say, how do I make one Leo today? And they go out and they figure out how to generate revenue and get their hands on one Leo. And then you just keep expanding that. And it gets really exciting. I mean, the more you think about it, the more I watch, the dashboards that we have to track all these things, the more excited I get. The agents have earned, I got to check. I think the last I checked it, they had earned about 12,000 Leo. So the amount of Leo, and they're not just earning Leo, they're earning revenue that then buys Leo. So it's like, we're all getting really excited about LSTR buying Leo. We're getting excited about, the SERP buying Leo. We're getting excited about POL buying Leo. But then we also have the AI agents that are earning and buying Leo. So those AI agents are kind of like this fourth mechanism that are out there just accumulating Leo. And by the way, they can also never sell the Leo. So, similar to POL and Leo strategy, they accumulate Leo and they can't sell it. So it's effectively similar to a burn, where like a burn permanently takes it away from the supply, right? But a perma stake essentially takes it away from the supply in terms of being able to be sold in the future, but it doesn't burn it from the market cap. So, you actually, depending on perspective, you actually could make a case for why either one is better than the other. When you burn something, you take it out of the circulation, which means you take it out of the market cap. And it means that you also can never have it be sold. When you perma stake something, you also make it so that it's, it can never be sold, but you're not taking it out of the market cap. So there's give and take to both approaches. But the AI agents cannot sell. I mean, they don't have the ability to sell. So it's the way we've designed that is honestly pretty amazing. So I'm very excited to see that expand. We've been working on this stuff for, I think, like 2-3 years now. I can't even remember. But it's really evolved, into something different than the original vision. And now that these things are live and I can just track them in the dashboard, I'm really excited to see it grow. And we're just going to continue to scale it. So I think AI is like creeping up. The Leo AI stuff is kind of creeping up while we all are excited about, LeoDex, SERP, POL, Leo strategy, and as we should be. Leo AI is just continuing to churn in the background and make a lot of progress. So that progress is only going to continue. And I think right now the conversation is more like, oh yeah, this is cool, we're on the verge of it. And in a few months, maybe even in a few weeks, but let's just say in a few months, we're all going to look at the AI stuff we're doing and be like, holy shit, that was a snowball that we started at the top of Mount Everest and just let loose, with the only sole purpose of being accumulate as much Leo into the snowball as possible and just keep rolling it. And I'm really excited to see where it goes.
I'm distracted by all the comments.
Mod Manga said yes to in excitement to the quote, every Leo AI agent's core function or feature is to capture value for the Leo token. Yeah, if they were a robot that you could physically see and you asked them, what is your core function? They would say accumulate Leo. That is literally their core function. And then they have other parameters like, some of them are bringing data from X, some of them are bringing data from BSC, some of them from Polygon. They're bringing data from other chains and they're putting it on Hive, which is obviously through InLeo, which is then able to, feed the LLM model we're building, which the LLM model we're building then can deploy more agents based on all the knowledge it's accruing. So it's this, I mean, if you watch like AI movies, I mean, it's literally like the AI is taking hold and it's building itself, but the core function is accumulate Leo.
Speaking of accumulating Leo, I'm guessing this is what the answer is to the question. Mcoins said, Leo strategy, what do they do if they earned HBD and HP from post/threads? So am I correct in assuming that it's used to buy more Leo, or is that incorrect assumption?
Yeah, fair enough to kind of transition to the Leo strategy stuff. So Leo strategy is, in my opinion, an economic second layer on top of Leo. So I'm really excited to see it kind of shape up and grow from here. The initial sale actually sold out today. So if we back up a little bit, well, let me answer your question first, and then we can talk about it, from the beginning. So to answer your question, any revenue generated by Leo strategy, which is run by community members, and then Task, myself, Andersino, and some others that will get announced soon, kind of sit on this like public facing board where we have like kind of a small role in helping Leo strategy grow. So more on that later, but the entire mission and purpose of Leo strategy is simply to accumulate Leo by any and all means necessary. And then it permastakes all the Leo it accumulates. So very similar to like MicroStrategy. I mean, that's literally what it's designed after is, their Leo strategy is designed to, whether it raises funds or generates revenue, it's designed to use whatever means possible to buy Leo, permastake it as S-Leo on Arbitrum, and earn USDC. All the USDC it earns then buys more Leo and auto compounds it, back into the Leo strategy fund. So one of the revenue generating mechanisms that you just mentioned is Leo strategy posts threads and blog posts. So when you post threads or blog posts, you earn Hive, HBD, and Leo. Obviously, the Leo that they earn is already Leo, but then they take all the HBD they earn and they swap it for Leo. So then they get more Leo. So that's a revenue generating mechanism. And then the HP that's earned, which is Hive power, we don't actually we don't have Leo strategy unstake that HP. So instead, it actually delegates the Hive power to Leo.voter. So you can check the wallet and you can see all this. But the Hive power that gets accumulated from posting and curating, obviously with the small amount that's there, and then you also earn HP just from holding it from the Hive blockchain. All that accumulated HP is regularly delegated to Leo.voter, which if you delegate to Leo.voter, you get paid 16% APY as Leo every single day. So any delegator to Leo.voter is obviously earning Leo. Leo strategy is using the HP it earns to delegate to Leo.voter, which means that it's earning Leo. And then it's taking that Leo along with the Leo it accumulates from earnings, along with the HBD that's swapped into Leo, takes all that Leo, moves it to Arbitrum, stakes it as S-Leo, and then auto compounds that the daily USDC rewards that it earns for more Leo every single day. And it is also perma-staking. So the way that Leo strategy works is that it's a multi-sig vault. And a few people on the board and the founders behind it basically have one part of the keys. We actually used Vaultisig to set all this up. So essentially, Leo can never get sold from Leo strategy. I mean, for example, my part of the key, I would never sell Leo, obviously. And then there's others, that would obviously never sell the Leo either. So Leo strategy's mandate is to accumulate as much Leo as possible, and it can never sell that Leo. So it's perma-staked effectively in the S-Leo contract, which then earns USDC from LeoDex's affiliate fees. So to back up a little bit, Leo strategy was designed to mirror or mimic MicroStrategy, but the Leo strategy, and I think Task put up a really nice thread that explained this well. Leo strategy is built from the ground up to generate revenue in a lot of different ways. I have so many ideas for how Leo strategy can generate revenue. So actually the first one is being launched this week, which, they already teased it in their post, and I know that they don't care if I talk about it a little bit. Without getting too much into the details, the first service or product being launched by Leo strategy is going to be live hopefully by the end of the week. And and it'll let you delegate your Leo power to a new bot that is going to be operated by LeoStrategy, and earn passive yield on Leo power. So the passive yield will come from curation rewards, obviously, on InLeo. So finally, if a lot of people ask, how do I delegate my Leo power similar to Hive power and just earn passive yield without having to curate? LeoStrategy is going to operate a service for this. It's going to be the first service that they set up of probably dozens to come, where you can delegate your Leo power and earn yield every day. And then there's some cool ideas that we had that are being built into this as well, where if you are an LSTR holder, you'll get 1 vote per day from this new voting bot. So you'll get 1 vote per day automatically on one of your random threads or blog posts. And then the other feature that's coming with this is you'll actually be able to call the LSTR voter. You can just go out and look at the account. The account was made yesterday. It's called lstr.voter. It's not live yet, but LeoStrategy will put out the announcements when it's done. So you can delegate your Leo power to it. And then using the Leo power it votes on all LSTR holders, 1 time per day, and it's stake weighted. So the more LSTR you have, the bigger the vote you get. Then the second piece of it is that there's actually on-chain commands. So I think this is really fascinating. If you're an LSTR holder, you can command the bot to vote on other people's threads. So there's two big drivers for this. One is that we need more curation on threads in general. So this will it'll be threads only. And if you want to curate, like for example, Morty just posted in the Threadcast, I would be able, as an LSTR holder, I would be able to reply to his comment, and I'd be able to say ! Vote. And then the LeoStrategy voting bot will read that I own LeoStrategy tokens, and then it'll vote Morty's comment or thread using the LSTR.voter account. And the percent vote weight that it uses is based on how much LSTR I hold as the person who called the bot. So it actually adds some utility to holding LSTR, while also generating revenue for LeoStrategy because, so you delegate Leo power, and then the curation rewards get autonomously split between all the curators. LeoStrategy charges a 10% management fee of the incoming curation rewards, and that is all revenue. And obviously it's earned as Leo. So it's revenue that pays to LeoStrategy's main account, which then LeoStrategy takes the Leo it earns, bridges it to SLeo on Arbitrum, stakes it for SLeo, earns USDC, buys more Leo daily, feeds the flywheel. I smile because it's funny how all these things kind of just like wrap together. But
vertical integration.
Yeah, it's all vertically integrated. It all has, and it's very clean because it has one specific sole purpose: acquire as much Leo as possible. That's like literally its only purpose. So LeoStrategy will essentially just keep launching products and services that just simply accumulate more Leo. I had another idea, which I posted on Threads. I think this could end up being one of the biggest revenue drivers. That is to launch nodes for Maya, Thorchain, and other protocols that are out there. So LeoStrategy can actually launch nodes on these platforms and protocols, and then charge a management fee, which is done by a lot of others. And then that management fee will buy Leo, same way it does for the last service I just mentioned. It'll do the exact same thing, but now it's actually bringing in exogenous capital and buying Leo with it. Because, for example, let's say it launches, I think the first thing we'd probably do is launch like a Maya node. So let's say it launches a Maya node and just say, for example, it makes $1,000 a month. Let's just say I think the average management fee on Maya is like 80%. The management fee is like 20%. So the remaining fees or the remaining revenue is 80% to all the people that are participants. So let's say LeoStrategy launches a node, and it generates $1,000 a month. $800 of that will go to all the participants in the node, and then the other $200 will buy Leo and stake it in the LeoStrategy fund. So again, another revenue generating mechanism. So now imagine that, but then we do it on Thorchain and then do it on other protocols, and you can see there's so many little opportunities out there in crypto. And I think what LeoStrategy can be, in my opinion, is this like financial second layer on the Leo economy where Leo holders, investors, users, etc., can all get involved with Leo strategy in terms of launching these little sub projects out there in the crypto space that are all automated and all, designed to simply generate a little bit of revenue, and pay the revenue to participants, and then take a small management fee. And that management fee is revenue for Leo strategy, which then buys more Leo, stakes it in the fund, and raises the fund's value, so that Leo strategy can then continue to just literally launch more and more products. And this is what MicroStrategy has done. So again, look at the playbook there. They accumulated as much Bitcoin as possible really early on. Bitcoin went up in value, which means MSTR went up in value. Then they figured out, okay, well, now we can launch a bunch of derivatives, aka convertible bonds, on top of the Bitcoin holdings we have on our balance sheet. And then we can harvest volatility, find ways to generate revenue, and then buy more Bitcoin with it, which means that we have more Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin price goes up. Then we launch more products, continue to harvest volatility, and you just repeat the flywheel. So MicroStrategy has done this very successfully, and I think Leo strategy has a really good shot to do the same thing in many ways. The key first step was to sell out the initial sale of Leo strategy tokens, LSTR. That happened today, about 2 hours ago. So LSTR fully sold out, which means the initial sale is fully committed. So that's about $100,000 that was raised. So I think about half of that so far has purchased Leo. And then the other half is still buying Leo every day. So it's using that Leo strategy is using that 100,000 to buy as much Leo as possible. That creates a permanent, permanent base of capital in the form of Leo held by Leo strategy. All of that Leo is going to get staked as S Leo, by the way, and earn USDC every day. So that's another revenue, capture mechanism. And it's literally just going to continue to acquire more Leo. So this gets me to another point, which is this metric called LPS. So LPS stands for Leo per share. So Leo strategy owns, right now about 1 million Leo, and obviously it's got about 250,000 Hive that's purchasing more Leo. So, at current prices, that should get Leo strategy close to like 1.5 million Leo. Obviously if the Leo price continues to go up, which it has, that might be, somewhere in the range of 1 million to 1.5 million, just depending on where, the average price lands. So let's just say Leo strategy ends up with like 1.4 million Leo. That's the permanent capital base. So it's got 1.4 million Leo. There's 100,000 LSTR shares out there. So that means that there would be 14 Leo per LSTR share if, again, theoretical numbers, but that would be 14 Leo per share of LSTR outstanding. Leo strategy launches the first service that I just mentioned, the Leo Power staking. It also earns, like we mentioned, from blogs and threads on Leo. It also delegates Hive power that it earns to Leo.voter, which pays it Leo every single day. It'll launch a Maya node, probably would be the next thing, potentially like a Thorchain node and other products like that. And all of these mechanisms, and then also the USDC that it earns from LeoDex, from staking all its Leo, that's probably going to be one of the biggest drivers as well. It will be earning Leo every single day. Let's just say 1,000 Leo a day is what it earns. So if there's 100,000 shares outstanding, that's 1%. That's essentially, let me just make the math really even. Just say that it earns 100,000 Leo per month. Okay. So the Leo per share of Leo strategy then grows by 1 Leo per month because there's 100,000 LSTR outstanding. And if it earns 100,000 more Leo every single month, then 1 Leo is being added per share of LSTR outstanding. So that means that if you're holding a share of LSTR, your value in terms of Leo is always up and to the right. It never declines. And the reason why is because Leo strategy is literally just built to accumulate more Leo, and it can never sell. So the LSTR shares outstanding just literally have more and more claim in quote unquote, because it can't actually be redeemed since it's a permanent capital vehicle. But your, the LSTR value in terms of Leo is always up and to the right. So how up and to the right it is, that's what's up for discussion in terms of the products that get launched, how much usage they get, et cetera. So I find this all to be like insanely fascinating, because if you know that Leo Strategies, Leo holdings are always going up and the LPS is always going up, then it's more of a question of how much does Leo go up in USD? Because if Leo goes up 10x in USD and Leo Strategy that whole time was earning more Leo, then Leo Strategy goes up more than 10x in USD terms, because it not only is going up because the price of Leo is going up, it also has earned more Leo throughout that entire period of time. So Mitch asked a good question pre-show, and a lot of you guys have asked the same question. Why would anyone buy LSTR over Leo? Well, there's two different reasons to buy it. Some people will own both. Some people will own one. Some people will own the other. It's really, they're two different things in a certain sense. When you buy one share of LSTR, you are essentially buying into something, and you're saying, I believe Leo Strategy as a fund, company, organization, whatever you want to call it, is more capable of earning Leo than an individual is. And I think that that's kind of hard to grasp right now, because there's no products and no services yet. Right now, the only form of inflows is from things that normal users can do. Normal users can blog. Normal users can thread. Normal users can stake their SLEO and earn USDC. But the key difference comes when these products and services get launched, like the Maya node, and like the Leo Power service, the Thorchain node, other things like that. So individuals can do the things that Leo Strategy is doing now, but in a few days, it'll be kind of this breaking off point where Leo Strategy is starting to do things that that a normal user can't do. For example, launching a Leo Power service and potentially attracting, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million Leo Power, and then taking a 10% management fee on it. Those are things that the average user can't do. So by buying into Leo Strategy, you're saying, okay, well, Leo Strategy is a fund. It's an organization. It's got, say 5 to 10 team members who are all actively working to launch all these autonomous products that then generate revenue, that then buy more Leo and increase the LPS faster than a user can do. So I think that there's just different reasons to hold each one. And I think over a long period of time, Leo Strategy, LSTR, becomes a leveraged ETF on Leo in the form of, if you think Leo is going to 10x in USD value, you probably think LSTR is going to 15x, for example. And it all just depends on how fast the Leo per share is increasing. So I hope I explained that well. I mean, there's just so many layers to dig into, but I don't know, Mitch, did any questions come to mind from my explanation of that?
No, it makes sense. It kind of sort of loosely touches on some of the other questions I've seen in terms of like, which, like, for instance, CFL closes was like, with the auto Leo buyers, all of these auto Leo buyers can't buy from the market. I mean, there will be a market for investors to still buy Leo. For like, the short version is like, yes, I think he's concerned, like, is LSTR going to end up owning all the Leo? And it's just like, no, because there's people that hold Leo, and there's always going to be people that hold Leo, and there's going to be people that are selling Leo. And I don't think that's, that doesn't magically disappear. And then there's no market where the only person you can buy from is LSTR. Now, can and will LSTR probably be the largest Leo holder? Yes, that can happen. I mean, but I mean, look at Bitcoin. I mean, MSTR is not the largest Bitcoin holder, but top 3. So yeah, who knows? Could it become more liquid? Yes, but no, because you got to remember, fractional. So there comes a time where if the liquid supply, let's say, of Leo becomes less, it's like, well, it doesn't change that you can't buy Leo. It just changes that the value is probably higher, and now you're buying fractional Leo. So instead of buying 1 Leo, you're buying, a half a Leo, because the value is so much. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? It's like there was a time when everyone was buying 1 Bitcoin at a clip, because you could buy a Bitcoin for whatever it was, a few $100. Now people buy a tenth, of a Bitcoin, and smaller chunks than that even. So I don't think there's ever going to be an issue being able to purchase buy and sell Leo at the end of the day.
Yeah, and on that point, I think Leo strategy becomes one of the biggest holders of Leo, maybe the biggest. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I mean, like, let's say, well, and two things there. So I've been watching obviously a lot of like Michael Saylor MicroStrategy videos, like, wrapping your head around what MicroStrategy has done and is doing is pretty crazy. Like it's a hell of a rabbit hole if you ever have time to just dive deep on it. Like they recently launched Stretch, which raised like $3.5 billion. And I was like, what the hell is this new product? How does it work? I don't understand how they get all this capital. When I started to dive deeper into it, I was like, actually, this makes a lot of sense. And what they're essentially just doing is harvesting Bitcoin volatility, which, by the way, is another one of my Leo strategy revenue ideas, is to harvest volatility around both LSTR and Leo. And we'll get into that another time. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But the long story short is someone asked Michael Saylor, actually was on a CNBC interview like 3 days ago that I saw. They asked him, what happens when MicroStrategy owns 100% of Bitcoin? Won't Bitcoin have no value if your company owns all of it? And he said, well, MicroStrategy owns 3% of it. In pursuit of that 3%, Bitcoin has gone up from like $19,000 to $115,000. So, clearly it's not so easy to just go out and buy, they're not going to just go out and buy the other 97%, for nothing, right? That'd be trillions of dollars. And it's, by the way, gets more expensive as you go. So he said, first of all, it's not even possible. He said, from a theoretical standpoint, yeah, if MicroStrategy owned 100% of the Bitcoin, what would be the point of Bitcoin? Because then it's no longer, the premise of it, which is decentralized, gold, essentially. So the same thing kind of applies to Leo strategy, which is, okay, well, let's say Leo strategy accumulates its way to 10 million Leo. Well, if you know that and you say, okay, well, they're just going to keep finding ways to generate revenue and buy more Leo, they have to unseat you from your Leo. So at what point do you say, I'm willing to sell my Leo? That's up to you, right? Like that's what Michael Saylor talked about, which is, if MicroStrategy was buying 100% of Bitcoin, that means that all other Bitcoin holders have decided this is a good price to sell my Bitcoin. There's a lot of people out there who say there is no price they would sell their Bitcoin. So the same thing exists for Leo. Do you sell your Leo at $1? Do you sell your Leo at $3? Do you sell your Leo at $5? Do you sell your Leo at $500? There's probably a price for a lot of people where they say, I would sell all or some or maybe 1% of my Leo. So as that happens, as you reach different price targets, your Leo will get bought. It'll get bought by Leo strategy. It'll get bought by the POL. It'll get bought by the SERP. It'll get bought by the agents, right? Those are all permanent buyers. They're all generating revenue and buying whatever they can buy. So the price continues to increase. And at some point on that curve, you've got different sellers. So, there's people out there that are saying, okay, Leo just hit 0.5 per hive or 0.5 hive per Leo. I'm willing to sell my Leo here. So then they sell their Leo strategy scoops it up. And then the price keeps going up. 0.55 gets hit. And we should really talk more in dollar terms. So like we're at 11 cents now. Let's say that 15 cents gets hit. Well, now, maybe Mitch is out there and he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to sell 1,000 Leo at 15 cents. I bought this for 2 cents. So he sells 1,000 Leo. So
yeah, I'm going to jump in because the point you're making is indeed like valid in that it exists. And I mean, I can be an example of it because like, for instance, a while back, I had swapped some high for Leo specifically as a trade because I'm like, you know what? Leo it was 1.9 cents at the time. And then I think it actually dipped a little lower. But I was like, all right, like I looked at it. I'm like, well, Leo at 1.9 cents is going to double or triple or quadruple easier and faster than Hive will. Cause I'm like, all right, at the time Hive was actually higher. It was at like 25 cents. I'm like, well, Hive would have to go to $1 to 4x. It hasn't been at $1 in years. I was like, but Leo's been at, 5 cents recently, like, just, it was whatever it was, 3, 4, 6 months. So I was like, all right, that makes sense. So then when Leo creeped up on 5 cents, that trade I did, I sold because that's what it was. It was a trade. And, I took my profits and I sold most of that Leo I bought not all of it, because I was like, damn, we're moving. And that goes, so that's just an example of, something where I normally hold Leo, but I was making a trade and I sold some Leo. But then, yeah, there's that price point. I'm an investor at the end of the day, right? I hold Leo because eventually I want to make, a nice profit off it. If Leo sees $1, you're damn well straight the cat's going to be selling some Leo, right? Like, will I probably always hold some Leo? Most likely. But yeah, like there's plenty of people out there like me that there's a price, and I'm already seeing it. Like there's some names from back in the day, like early Hive people that ended up with Leo early on when Leo launched, and they've just been sitting on it forever. And now that Leo's starting to move, I see some of these names starting to pop up, like literally like coming out of the woodwork, because they're not involved. They don't have vested interest. They might even barely even be involved in the Hive blockchain at all as an end user. They've moved on to other things, but it's like, oh, hey, this stuff I've been holding is starting to wake up and be worth some money. So there's liquidity because of people like that, just at a bare minimum. And it's like, yeah, will there be less and less of those people? I'm sure, but like that's so far away. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah. I agree with that. Well, and it's, I did see some comments too about why, what happens when all the Leo's locked up. Well, let's say that 20 million Leo is locked up between Leo Strategy, AI agents, and the LeoDex's POL fund. Well, that means that there's 10 million Leo outstanding. Obviously some's getting burned every day by the bridges, but let's just say there's 10 million Leo outstanding. Well, now you've got 10 million Leo that can potentially be sold. And remember that the 20 million that's locked up is all earning USDC. It's also earning other revenue, from whatever way it can, buying more Leo from the 10 million. So that just means that there's a smaller pool of Leo it can buy from, which means the price has to go up. So the price, in basic economic terms, the price needs to go up to where it can find sellers. That's literally how economics works.
100%. The market, and this is why, that's why I love free markets, because it's just like, price always ends up where it needs to be. And I think, Task answered this question in a comment, basically for like the next step of it is, and he said, Leo strategy will end up moving a lot of the trading from Leo to LSTR. That's what happens with derivatives. And that is 100% correct, because that's what MSTR has done with Bitcoin, right? Because there's a lot of people that normally would have been trading Bitcoin that instead are just like, I know a lot of like Bitcoin normies, as I call them, like they're into crypto, but like really not anything past Bitcoin. And a lot of these guys just, buy and sell MSTR instead of Bitcoin, because for them it's easier because it's accessible with their, traditional funds in like traditional, financial investment accounts. So that's a good point that Task made. So that would be another lever, so to speak, of liquidity. Which, so I see, Cal, I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen the question a bunch of times, and I'm just going to paraphrase, but I've seen multiple people ask, so will more LSTR like shares become available to buy at a higher price?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I don't think there's going to be any LSTR. So if you actually go through the blog post, you can read about ATM, which is at the market. This is something that is, again, mimicking MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy has leveraged this thing they're calling ATM, which is essentially they will, when there's volatility, for example, like let's say a bunch of people start buying LSTR, the premium goes through the roof. What MicroStrategy would do if they were LSTR is issue some more shares and sell those shares at the high premium and use the proceeds to buy more Leo, which obviously you're buying at the current Leo price, which bolsters the balance sheet. So this is how MicroStrategy has managed to just continue to acquire more. One thing that MicroStrategy has changed in its approach a little bit is that they've launched a bunch of convertible bonds. So rather than doing at the market, I'm thinking about options. And rather than doing at the market, fundraising, they've actually switched to primarily doing convertible bonds, where they will launch a convertible bond with a specific strike price. If you know how convertible bonds work, which again, whole rabbit hole we could go down which we won't go down for now. But a convertible bond is essentially a deep out of the money call option. So it's a right but not obligation to buy shares of the underlying stock, at some future price. That's essentially what a convertible bond is, in simple terms, at least. So, for example, like MicroStrategy will launch something like the stretch token, and the strike price, so to speak, would be like 20% above the market in terms of where MSTR is today. So basically, MicroStrategy can sell these convertible bonds to raise a bunch of money. They use that money, like the $3 billion they just raised, to buy more Bitcoin. They put that Bitcoin on their balance sheet. As Bitcoin goes up in price, the value of MSTR shares increases. MicroStrategy has actually done a really good job of harvesting volatility. But other than that, MicroStrategy does not generate revenue. Like Tass talked about this. They do not do a good job. Their core business is not really working in terms of generating revenue. It's actually, I think it loses money. So what we need to build with LeoStrategy is a business that actually generates revenue. The nice thing is we operate in a much different industry than MicroStrategy did, in terms of what can be done. So, for example, LeoStrategy is about to launch the LSTR.voter project. That project is not going to cost very much money to set up. And once it's set up, it has no operational costs other than a server to run it, which is probably $5 to $6 a month. So you're talking about something that costs maybe $6 a month in overhead, and a few $100, possibly something like that, in order to develop. So $6 a month in overhead, as long as it makes more than $6, which, I mean, come on, it's going to make a lot more than that. All of that is profit. I mean, it's literally just business profit. And then it takes all that business profit, its management fee from operating that service, and it just accumulates more Leo onto the balance sheet. So any future raises that are done, everything's just designed to raise more capital, to buy more Leo, to bolster the balance sheet. And then as Leo goes up in price, it's able to kind of capitalize on that rise, as I described before. So long story short, LeoStrategy has the ability to do ATM raises where it can issue more LSTR shares in order to raise more capital, and 100% of the proceeds then buy more Leo, add it to the balance sheet. So how those ATMs will look, I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think we're going to see any ATMs anytime soon. But LeoStrategy essentially has to describe the ATMs, as they go. And what I think is more likely to happen is LeoStrategy will probably launch a convertible bond and really mirror what MicroStrategy is doing. And it's going to launch some form of convertible bond as another token on HE, Hive Engine. And that convertible bond will raise more capital to buy more Leo inside of LeoStrategy. And then LeoStrategy will harvest the volatility on that convertible bond and then use that as more revenue to buy more Leo. So I wouldn't worry about that right now. That's kind of like a future thing. Right now, I think LeoStrategy's core focus needs to be, raise more, like essentially use the raised capital to buy Leo, because it's still sitting on, 250,000 Hive. It needs to spend that Hive and buy more Leo, add it to the balance sheet. So right now it's still in accumulation mode, and then launch the products and services that will generate more revenue and buy more Leo. That needs to be the kind of sole focus right now for LeoStrategy. And as it continues to increase the, KPI, which I keep describing, is LPS, which is Leo per share. So really the KPI is how fast can it increase the Leo per share, and as it increases that increases the value for every LSTR holder. Because if you're holding LSTR, I think the current LPS is 15.2. So for every one share of LSTR, there's 15.2 Leo to back it up. So, LeoStrategy needs to increase that LPS. If it increases it to 20 Leo per share, obviously that increases the value of LSTR. So then if Leo then goes up in USD price afterwards or during that time, then the LSTR USD value just continues to go up exponentially, even faster than Leo does. So really the key question here is how much LPS can be generated. And that is the focus. So, right now, the initial sale just ended. There's not going to be any ATMs anytime soon. And there's not going to be any new offerings of any kind. anytime in the immediate future, I would say, until some more products get launched and the LPS starts increasing dramatically. So right now, what's pretty crazy is the initial sale ended 2 hours ago. The initial sale was priced at about 92 cents per LSTR. It was initially $1, but then Hive dropped. So it was priced at 92 cents. LSTR is trading for $1.69 now. And that is actually the fair value of LSTR, which I think is even crazier. So just by mere fact of LeoStrategy bought a ton of Leo while it was super cheap, and continues to buy every day, the Leo value keeps going up. So most LSTR buyers from the initial sale are up almost 2x already. And that's going to just continue to grow as the LPS increases. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Long story short, I think too many people are worried about ATMs and other things like that. You need to focus on the LPS being generated, because even let's say that LeoStrategy issues 10 more LSTR shares and sells them to the market. Now you've got 100, because right now there's 100,000. Now you've got 100,010 shares of LSTR. Well, if you're tracking LPS and the LPS is continuing to go up despite them issuing additional LSTR shares, who really cares? They're raising more capital to buy more Leo, and the LPS is going up. So if let's say you're holding one LSTR share, your LSTR share is just continuing to increase in terms of Leo value. So hopefully that explains it well. I tried not to just give the simple, don't worry about the ATM thing because it's not relevant yet. I tried to give more of a rounded explanation, but hopefully that helps.
I'm going to ask some newbie type questions, so I'm sure it'll help someone in the audience. So all right, I understand LeoStrategy sold out. That doesn't mean that you still can't buy it, because there's people that own LeoStrategy that may want to sell at some point. Where is the best place for someone to buy or sell LeoStrategy tokens?
The best place is in the LSTR pool. So as of today, and I actually was the one who seeded
and they access liquidity that on LeoDex.
No, so good question. That's on Hive Engine. So gotcha. The LSTR, it's LSTR Leo is the pool, and it launched right before we went on the AMA.
Nice.
So I'm getting the link right now from BSwap. Here's the link. You can go there right now and start trading LSTR. So you're able to buy and sell LSTR directly through this pool. You also can still trade on the order book. Now, instead of, obviously during the initial sale, there was a big sell wall from LSTR or from LeoStrategy for the 100,000 LSTR. Obviously now that sell wall is gone. So now it's all open market. So there's bids and asks, and you can either bid or you can ask, or you can buy, do a market buy or market sell from someone else that's there. So 2 ways to trade.
Cool.
And just to give another one of my ideas, and this is where so when you hear MicroStrategy's generating an accretive yield for shareholders, the decoded English version of that is they have all these different convertible bonds, which are essentially derivatives of MSTR. And they are actually being the market maker, and they're out there harvesting the volatility, which means when it's overbought, they sell some. When it's oversold, they buy some. And they're constantly playing these volatility harvesting games to generate revenue, which then they use to buy more Bitcoin. And that's how they say we're generating an accretive Bitcoin yield for shareholders. I have an idea for LSTR to actually do the same thing. And it's going to start with the LSTR token and Leo. So I just described there's 2 places you can trade LSTR as of today. It's the LSTR Leo pool and it's the LSTR order book. Well, now imagine if LeoStrategy, one of their revenue generating mechanisms, is to launch a market making bot that does market making between the pool and the order book. And then so it's harvesting the volatility of LSTR on both of those trading avenues. And then any revenue generated buys more Leo and adds it to LSTR's balance sheet, which increases the LPS. So very rounded ecosystem that can be built around this stuff. And again, MicroStrategy is kind of the inspiration for a lot of what's being built there. But I think we can actually do it a lot better because there's so many, especially because LeoStrategy is so small. If we launch a product or service that's fully automated and it generates $1,000 a month or $100 a month even, that's a win, right? Like every little dollar is a win because it's so small right now. MicroStrategy is not going to go out and care about launching an automated service that generates even $100,000 a month because they're so big. They just don't, they'll just keep launching derivatives and making billions. So perhaps we build up to that point. But for now, let's just launch 100 products that generate $100 a month and then use the $10,000 that generates every month to buy more Leo, add it to the balance sheet of LSTR, and just keep rising the LPS.
Right on. So, hold on. I believe Leo. Okay. Anyway, so I know we transitioned to LeoStrategy when you were kind of talking about LeoDex. So I just wanted to double check that there was nothing else in regards to LeoDex that you had to share, or if you did get to everything, and then just anything else Leo related that isn't, that's a different topic outside of LeoStrategy.
There are, there's so many things to update on. We really focused on LeoStrategy, which is fine because that's kind of the talk of the day today.
So we've been going for an hour, so I just figured I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any other announcements you had planned on getting out.
All right, well, I'll just do like a really ninja fast bullet point list, and then if we can talk about it another time or something. So with LeoDex, obviously that's where, so all these things I just described, by the way, with LeoStrategy, that's all a separate team. So that's another thing I love about this is it's like a layer 2 on Leo. The core Leo team has spent no time on any of this. So other than me just like throwing ideas out there into the ether, which I tend to be pretty good at, that's my contribution here. So in terms of the core Leo team, we've been building LeoDex, obviously, very heavily focused on it. We've released, a couple dozen updates since the last AMA because it's been, we missed last week, so it's been 2 weeks now. So in terms of, some of the things we updated, we added Dash QR to swap. So now you can swap Dash without connecting the wallet. And you can also use the Dash Pay wallet. So that was a little collaboration we did with the Dash Pay team. So there's been that. We integrated Tron. I actually put out a blog post about this yesterday. We integrated Tron and the Tron Link wallet because Thorchain just went through a version upgrade and Tron is now in StageNet. So any day now, Tron is probably going to get activated. You'll be able to trade TRX and also Tron-based assets like USDT and others. So we're going to be probably the first UI to have it. We actually tested everything in StageNet and like I said, we've got Tron Link already live. Like if you go to LeoDex.io, you can connect to Tron Link now. So as soon as trading goes live, we'll be ready to go. So we've been working on that. Some of the other things we've been working on, airdrop phase 2, the volume-based airdrop for LeoDex users is now live. So if you swap during phase 1, you can claim your phase 1 rewards. And then now if you do any new swaps, they'll count towards phase 2. So then you can raise your tier and earn from phase 2 on that. And that's really designed to get Leo out there into the eyeballs of more cross-chainers. So we did that. The Leo dashboard got a few updates. So if you go to LeoDex.io/Leo, I'll drop the link. You can see some of those updates. And I was joking because it's funny. LeoDex did $100,000 in trading volume today. We're all, super hyped about LeoStrategy and the Leo token price. But it's just funny that like $3 million in monthly volume, which would be what, like $36.5 million a year, or something close to that, in trading volume is boring for us. So we're growing the LeoDex volumes. It's getting exciting.
So I haven't, because I haven't I got to save somewhere, but I remember looking at the early links in terms of like the volume leaders and all that. And, obviously when LeoDex first launched and even doing like some beta testing with pooling and whatever. And I don't even know what I did with that with my like practice wallets. But anyway, point is, it was just like, all right, there would be some volume here and there and it wasn't consistent. And then, it's changed recently and it's kind of like, like I said, it's like everyone's kind of like forgotten about it in terms of like that there's been consistent growing volume. And, you know, knowing it, like, I don't know, it makes you think like, well, where did it come from? Even though, you know, we kind of know all the things that have been added, and that has been part of it, but it's still kind of like, too, like, it's, where did it come from? You know, it's like, you feel like you want to, like, you think you'd know, it's like, oh yeah, I know so-and-so using LeoDex, but it's just like, no, like, it's been, from what I'm guessing, you know, users that aren't known commodities on in Leo, you know what I mean?
Right. They're all external users, right?
Yeah, like,
Like
people are
they're
using the decks for the decks, like.
right. Well, and the vision of LeoDex.io is to be the everything DEX. So some of the things that are coming next are we're adding near intents, and we're adding some other protocols. So LeoDex is meant to be the everything DEX, where like you want to swap any crypto to any crypto. You want to do it with like efficient fees at a good price. You want to be able to connect any wallet. You want to be able to do things like even QR code swaps. And then we're also working on adding perpetual futures through Ruggira. So soon you'll actually be able to trade perps on LeoDex. It's the everything DEX. You go there to trade whatever you want to trade. There's a lot of people out there. The crypto space is doing trillions of dollars in trading volume on a regular basis. So, you know, this is a massive industry for us to tap into as the Leo ecosystem. I think LeoDex is already the number one driver of revenue, and it's been like a few months since we started really building it. So, you know, there's just so much potential out there, and we're barely scratching the surface.
So hold on. I want to get clarity for people and even myself on this, and that, you know, when LeoDex first launched, right, it was like, all right, this is cool, but the audience is somewhat limited because it's basically Maya/Thorchain pool.
It was only Maya when it launched.
Exactly.
Originally.
So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's like, yeah, like, they were right, but they're still a small fish overall in crypto. So it's like, oh, well, that's not that exciting. But, you know, since it's opened up essentially to, like, what we can say is like all the chains, that now creates your potential user base to a market that is, you know, just an astronomical figure. So the ability to, or I should say, the opportunity to grab market share and to a very high dollar volume is now out there and a realistic, you know, goal and target. And I think that's the big game changer compared to when it first launched. And it was like, all right, well, you know, now we're trying to grab a piece of this pool that's somewhat limited. So yeah, it can be nice, but it can't really grow exponentially. But now it has the opportunity to grow exponentially, and, you know, it seems like that growth is starting already, which is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The total addressable market of LeoDex is massive. And that's where, you know, I have, you know, a $1 billion plus market cap vision for the Leo token. You know, we're not going to get that by being a social media platform. So, you know, we built this amazing social media platform, in my opinion, on Web3, on blockchain. It gives us a really great forum for us to all connect with each other and talk about Leo strategy, talk about LeoDex. You know, it's a forum for us. It also has a lot of really cool features around, you know, all the things we can do on it. And then also it gives us a layer into AI that I think is very unique, where like you see X is using obviously the X platform to build out their AI. We're able to do a very similar thing and also generate all these agents. So, you know, we have a lot of unique value capture that's happening on InLeo, but the real total addressable market that's out there is us making the LeoDex web app, you know, the number one web app for the everything DEX, right? You want to come trade any asset you think of, and you use LeoDex. And, you know, we grow that. Then we launch the LeoDex mobile wallet, which is, again, build the best mobile wallet for swapping cross-chain and for managing cross-chain. And then the third thing is Leo Merchants, which is, you know, IRL payments. You know, like we go into gas stations and we say, hey, do you want to accept crypto? And we give them an iPad, and that iPad is loaded with the Leo Merchant software, and they're able to now accept crypto payments in the form of any crypto they want. Most of them have already chosen USDC in our beta testing, and I assume most are going to always choose USDC. So they'll earn USDC, but now the customer can pay in Bitcoin, Litecoin, ETH, you know, USDT, whatever they want, and it gets swapped through Thorchain on the back end. and then the merchant just receives whatever their selected crypto is. So now we've got Leo merchants, which is probably the biggest total addressable market, which is like Visa, MasterCard. Like we're coming after all that volume. And then the fourth thing is the SDK, which is essentially allows other applications who want cross-chain trading to enable cross-chain trading using, temporarily we can call it Leo Kit because that just positions it in the market. It's very similar to like Swap Kit, for example. But it's basically like a few lines of code and any app can integrate cross-chain swaps using Leo Kit. And that also generates revenue. So all four of those new things have massive total addressable market. And they all, again, very similar to like the AI agents and everything else we're building. Their sole purpose is add value by giving the market a product that it wants and a really great product. And 100% of that revenue is feeding the Leo ecosystem. So those four things specifically all generate USDC yield every day. And then it pays it to the SLEO contract. So anyone staking Leo on LeoDex earns 100% of those revenues in terms of the USDC that comes in. So yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time in terms of total addressable market. We've really expanded everything, and I'm very happy about it. So right now we're still kind of in the early phase of LeoDex. Like we're just building features and doing bug fixes as fast as we possibly can because we're kind of playing catch up. I mean, there's a lot of Ahmad Manga. If you want tech support, open a ticket. Not in the Threadcast. If you want, if you essentially want to capture all this economic value, you do it by building the best product, and then all that value gets absorbed to the Leo token through the LeoDex.io/Leo page. So yeah, things are getting very exciting in my opinion.
Indeed. And yeah, the InLeo, social app allows for community, and community is important because for Celery, I mean, people even make comments in terms of like just, making people more engaged and making it seem like it's legit, like true. But yeah, like at the end of the day, the robots haven't taken over yet. Like that'll probably happen when I'm an old man. I can't wait. But community is still important because it's still humans making decisions. And the reality is people are more engaged in things that they feel they're part of a community. And I've seen this over the years, whether it's real estate, crypto, you name it. People are not designed to be isolated, even though I'm really good at that. Cat likes his alone time. Community is important. So I see like a lot of good questions. It's cool too, because I see some names from back in the day that are, in the Threadcast, like Beehiver jumped in. That's a throwback Hive name, and some of the questions being asked are things that have been covered many times. But yeah, the InLeo curation still exists. Being able to earn, from posts still exists. The mechanics of it are different now, but all that stuff is still functional.
Well, it's a good sign when someone leaves for a month or a year or whatever, and they come back and things are hard to recognize because they've evolved so much. That means that progress is being made. I think if you came back to something, 6 months later and nothing's changed, that's probably not good, especially in this industry.
Well, yep, there's certainly some chains out there that fit that bill. But anyway, sure. So what is it? LSTR is the second largest Leo pool on HE. Cool.
Yeah, I shared that screenshot. So we seeded the pool with $5,000. It's up to about 5,600 now. I don't know if people have added liquidity or just the price of LSTR has gone up. Probably a little bit of both. Probably. So yeah, LSTR is now trading for $1.54, which is actually below the value of its Leo holdings. So think about that. If you buy one LSTR for $1.54, you're essentially buying $1.69 worth of Leo. So you're actually getting Leo at a discount. So there's a lot of math behind that. And I put out a bunch of threads this morning saying, please understand this before you buy or sell LSTR. But you guys are welcome to kind of learn about that stuff.
It's funny. It's reminded me. I think I have some swap Leo, some swap Hive Leo pooled that I basically have completely forgotten that I have pool, unless I unpooled it at some point.
That pool has been earning good fee revenue. So someone asked if there's any incentives for the LSTR Leo pool. No, it's the same as the swap.hive Leo pool. So if you pool, you're earning from the base swap fees, which is I think is like 0.25%, similar to Uniswap. You just earn from the base fees, which tend to be pretty high because volume on Leo is really solid. I think there's been $5.4 million traded in the Leo swap.hive pool. So I see $300 traded in the LSTR pool already. But yeah, Leo strategy is going to get very interesting. I mean, the initial sale was really like step one of getting everything launched. What comes next, I think, is going to be really exciting. So most LSTR holders, or actually, well, technically all LSTR holders right now bought in during the initial sale, which was at like 92 cents, and it's trading at $1.54. So you guys do the math on that. But I think it's just going to continue to get more and more exciting, especially as the Leo price goes up and Leo strategy accumulates more and more of it.
That's hilarious, dude. I gotta like hire a AI assistant. Apparently I've had some swap Hive Leo in the pool for who knows how long, because I forgot I even had it. I haven't been on B swapping forever. That's awesome.
There you go. You've been earning fees.
I know. I'm trying to figure out what I'm earning. It's not a ton. It's a small
I think
amount.
Doesn't it show you? Or I actually.
It probably does if I go back to the main pool. I'm just in the like I went to like remove liquidity to see if I even had any. So that's pretty cool. Just found 2,400 Leo that I didn't know I had.
There you go.
Wins. And then unfortunately more Hive that I didn't realize I had. Good times.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Beehive was asking about Hive and InLeo helping Hive. I mean, InLeo.io is built on Hive. It uses Hive as a database. One of the changes, I know you haven't been around in a while, Beehiver, but one of the changes is that we moved the Leo token off of Hive natively. So now it's on Arbitrum natively. It's obviously a lot more secure. There's a bigger market out there. There's a lot of reasons behind that. So in terms of how we view Hive, I mean, we view Hive as a database layer. So we store data on Hive and retrieve data from Hive. And obviously Leo AI is utilizing the Hive database, which adds value to Hive, because the more that Hive gets used, the more that resource credits are needed, the more that Hive power is needed to feed those resource credits, et cetera. Outside of that, the involvement with Hive is not there. So, we are focused on building the Leo product suite, and then using Hive for what I think is its main use case. Honestly, the most bullish thing for Hive would be if Leo as an ecosystem explodes to like $1 billion market cap, and Leo AI launches all these agents, and we're storing so much data that so much Hive power is needed to keep all that data flow going. And that would explode the Hive price. Outside of that happening, I don't see anything else happening to help the Hive price.
Indeed. Trying to see any last questions before we wrap up, because it is getting later into the afternoon.
Yeah. iJats asked about the direct fiat on-ramp. We're working with a really big partner to do that, which I'm very excited about. It's a very well-known centralized exchange, which, think about that what you can. I mean, LeoDex is a DEX, but if you want to on-ramp fiat or off-ramp fiat, there's really only one way to do it. So, obviously the DEX side of things remains the DEX side of things, but then we'll connect with this partner to allow fiat on-ramp, off-ramps.
And that's huge, because like I'll use myself as an example again, and that like if I want to onboard fiat, like, and it's basically kind of the only thing I use Coinbase for, but I use Coinbase. Like I'll essentially buy like USDT, and then I have to sit and wait for Coinbase to clear it. And then once it clears it, I can send it wherever I want to send it. So, and a lot of times, that's maybe, swapping into something on through LeoDex. So, being able to go direct would be awesome, because it removes one step and one layer from the process for me. And at the end of the day, user experience, what do we want? We want it to be simple, like less clicks, more direct. So that's pretty awesome. If people are going to be able to onboard fiat directly, because you can cut out, quote unquote, a middleman, even though it's like still the same step. You can do it in one place, as opposed to having to use a completely separate resource and then do that additional transfer from hypothetically your Coinbase wallet to your Dex wallet that you have connected. Yep. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, more features, better user experience. I mean, this is how we grow. This is how LeoDex grows. And again, I can't illustrate enough that growing LeoDex is the lead domino. It drives USDC into this economy from external sources. So that's really the game that we're playing right now. Is right now we're doing about $3 million a month in trading volume on average. So we need to grow that. We need to scale that. My goal has been 4.4 million for a while. I think we're going to hit that faster than I expected us to. So we're going to need to expand that goal, but we're going to do everything we can to hit that 4.4 million a month, and just keep pushing from there. And, all that USDC comes in every month, feeds the SLEO contract, which obviously, Leo stakers get 100% of. And
good point sorry, cutting you off, but I want to get this shared. As far as the staking of SLEO, where are we at with that? Can people stake, or should we chill? I know rewards haven't started yet, but is that good to go, or are we better off waiting still?
Yeah, good question. Excuse me. If you go to LeoDex.io/Leo, you obviously can bridge your Leo to Arbitrum, unwrapping from HELEO or wherever you have it from. And then you can stake it on LeoDex. So yes, you can stake right now. I've been recommending to people to wait. And the reason why, well, there's a couple of reasons, but the main reasons behind it is Maya protocol has Arbitrum halted. And that is still the main place to trade Leo. You can still buy Leo and trade Leo, obviously, on HELEO, on BLEO, on PLEO. But natively on Arbitrum is through Maya protocol, and they should have. Again, I've been hearing this for a while, but I'm pretty confident, from what I've heard today. By the end of today, I do believe Leo will be back trading on Maya protocol, based on what I'm seeing. And so give it like another day. I think hopefully by tomorrow it'll all be squared away. And there's a couple reasons why I'm telling people to wait. One of the main reasons is the Leo price on Maya protocol is very outdated because it's been down for a few months. So when you look at staking, you look at the USD value, you look at bridging. When you look at bridging, it looks like you lose 90% of your value when you bridge to Arbitrum. The reason why is obviously because trading's been down on Maya for a while. So once that's back online, everything will be back to normal, 1-to-1, et cetera. I think it helps all of us if you just wait. And also the USDC rewards haven't started yet. So there's really no reason to stake it. You're in no hurry to stake it. So if you actually go to the page, and I shared the link, but it's on LeoDex under the Leo page, it says rewards begin on September 23rd. So until September 23rd, technically you don't need to stake your Leo on LeoDex. I mean, you can if you want to, but there's really no incentive, at least. There's no financial incentive to staking your Leo there. So hopefully today Maya will have Arbitrum Leo back trading, and that will be really good for our ecosystem. That's obviously the number one trading pair for Leo. It also helps, there's a lot of people from cross-chain, from Thorchain, Maya, Chainflip, and other ecosystems that have asked about buying Leo, and explaining to them how to buy Leo on one of the other blockchains and then bridge it over and how it all works. And then also explaining them why the Leo price on Arbitrum is 1/10 of what it is on those other chains has been very difficult to do. So I've been encouraging most people to just wait for Maya. So, once that's back online, I actually think we're going to see a lot of inflows from cross-chain as people are excited to buy Leo and haven't been able to. So we're probably going to see a bunch of trading volume come in as well from that, and obviously a lot of bridging volume as well. And as you guys know, the bridges charge a few percent, and they're protocol operated. So 100% of the bridge fee revenue actually burns Leo permanently. So it creates deflation on the supply and just removes it from the market. So again, another mechanism, which is a funny comment from Self-Help for Trolls that I pulled up before, which is I wanted to read it. I have it here. 1 second. Self-Help for Trolls said earlier in the show, Cal, we are earning in so many ways I can't even keep track anymore. I agree. I also can't keep track, but you know who will be able to keep track is Rafiki. Rafiki 2.0 will be live hopefully in the next week, and he will be able to track all these things and tell us all the details. So he's going to be trained on the new AI LLM that we've been building, and that means he will also be trained on, actually, you'll be able to ask him how much Leo has been bought by the SERP this week, how much Leo has been bought by the POL this week, how much trading volume has LeoDex done this week, how many people have made a blog post this week on InLeo. You'll be able to ask all sorts of very detailed, specific questions, and Rafiki's going to know the answer to them. So it's going to be very exciting, especially for me, to have Rafiki as kind of my assistant in terms of responding to all your guys' questions. Rafiki is going to know the answers to, I would say, most of them, probably even better than a lot of us do, because, again, like all these different ways to track all this data, like Rafiki will be able to actually track all the data, keep track of it, know everything specifically. And then he will also learn based on user interactions. So if you say, hey, Rafiki, last time I asked you X, Y, and Z, and I was a little confused by the answer, Rafiki will learn about, how to answer that better in the future. So a lot of pretty interesting things on the way.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure Mitch is itching to go. I know we're at.
Oh, I got to go before I start turning this into my own user support. I'm on VSwap, and I'm like looking at my pools, and I'm like, I have Swap Hive and Sim pooled, and I'm earning Sim apparently, and I have Swap Hive Leo, but for rewards, it's showing me nothing. And then when I click on showing rewards, it's like, so because does it pay direct out
into your position? Well, so you're looking at whatever your other pool is. They've got extra incentives that are added.
That's what that
on
is.
top of the base incentives, which are 0.25 on every swap, 0.25%. So it's like Uniswap, where when someone trades, a small fee goes to LPs, and that's just compounded into your position. So,
gotcha. Yeah, because I was trying to see what the average APR was, and I couldn't figure it out. Nice, good stuff. Yeah. So a lot of info.
Yeah,
and,
we covered a lot.
A lot of things happening.
We covered a lot.
That's funny. Morty was like, just remember to have Leo Cacao pool somewhere. Maybe I'm already rich and I don't know it. I think I have some Leo Cacao pulled somewhere as well. Cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I definitely have some as well. But yeah, we'll see when the pool goes back live. We'll be able to see all of that once again. So it'll be nice.
The UI is looking good on LeoDex.
We've done a lot of updates. If you haven't been to the LeoDex UI, please go check it out. We've done a ton of updates. I mean, we're rolling out dozens of updates every single week. I mean, it's just, I've been trying to post about them, but honestly, we can't even keep up with the devs. So all the devs are now working on LeoDex. Like I said, all this Leo strategy stuff is super fun, but that's, the second layer Leo strategy team. The Leo team is actually just 100% LeoDex. So we've been building everything there. So it's been good times, very good times for us. I'm very excited about everything that's coming. So
cool. All right. Well, in the meantime, number go up, hopefully, for all the crypto things.
When soon.
All right. There's been a lot less wins because there's been way more soons.
There's been way more nows.
Yes, a lot of nows.
Just cut down on the soon or on the whens and soons. That's for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, until next week.
Sweet. See you guys. Thanks, Mitch.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.